You want to exile us to that? Ambassador Chen gestured at the holographic display of a blue-green marble suspended in space, her expression a mix of disbelief and barely contained amusement. Indeed. High Counselor Zixtal of the Galactic Confederation straightened all four of his spinal ridges, a gesture that would have been intimidating to most species. Most species that weren't human, that is. The planet designated HD2791C will serve as your new home. The decision is final. Chen couldn't help but snort. She quickly covered it with a diplomatic cough, but the damage was done. Several of the council members' chromatophores flickered in indignation. I apologize for my informal reaction, Chen said, not looking particularly sorry at all. But I feel compelled to point out that this punishment you're proposing might not have quite the effect you're hoping for. The planet is a Class 12 death world, thundered Sub-Counselor Vreen, his tentacles writhing in agitation. The gravity is 1.15 standard. The temperature fluctuates wildly. It has seasons. There are extreme weather events. The entire surface is contaminated with dihydrogen monoxide. You mean water? Chen raised an eyebrow. Yeah, we kind of need that to live. The atmosphere is corrosive, continued Vreen, ignoring her interruption. Oxygen? Also a fan favorite among humans. There are thousands of species of predatory organisms. Sounds like good hunting. The council chamber erupted in confused murmuring. Zixtal raised all 6 arms for silence. Ambassador Chen, perhaps you fail to grasp the severity of your species' situation, he said slowly, as if explaining to a particularly dim child. Your kind has demonstrated an unsettling propensity for violence, technological advancement, and worst of all, unpredictability. The Confederation cannot risk having humans spread throughout civilized space. This exile is, in fact, a mercy compared to the alternative some council members proposed. Chen leaned forward, her smile reminiscent of a shark that had just spotted a particularly juicy seal. Let me get this straight. You're going to give us an entire planet, one with gravity, atmosphere, and resources remarkably similar to Earth's, and your only condition is that we stay there and don't bother you. That is correct, Zixtal said, suddenly feeling less certain about the proceedings. And you'll leave us alone to develop as we see fit on this planet? Within reason, yes. No trade restrictions, no technology limitations, no oversight beyond making sure we stay put? That is the essence of exile, yes. Zixtal was definitely starting to worry now. Chen's grin widened. Where do we sign? 20 standard years later. High Counselor, you need to see this. The young aide's chromatophores were flashing patterns of acute distress as they burst into Zixtal's meditation chamber. What could possibly be so urgent that you... I hope you've been enjoying the show. We've been having an absolute blast down there. Turns out when you give a species with a tendency toward violence, technological advancement, and unpredictability a whole planet to play with, they get creative. Your advancement rate is unprecedented, Sub-Counselor Vreen said, his tentacles twitching nervously. It's concerning. Concerning? Chen laughed. Oh, you haven't seen Concerning yet. Wait until I tell you about our plans for stellar engineering. Did you know you can use a star as a computer? We're calling it stellar computing. The energy efficiency is incredible. Ambassador, Zixtal cut in. Surely you understand that this level of technological development was not anticipated when the terms of your exile were established. Oh, we understood perfectly well what you were trying to do, Chen said, her tone suddenly serious. You thought you were sentencing us to a harsh existence that would keep us busy trying to survive. Instead, you gave us exactly what humans need to thrive. Challenges to overcome, resources to exploit, and most importantly, something to prove. She started pacing, warming to her topic. You see, humans have this funny quirk. Tell us we can't do something, and we'll move heaven and earth to prove you wrong. Tell us something's impossible, and we'll make it possible out of spite. Send us to a death world, and we'll turn it into paradise just to show we can. Are you here to threaten the Confederation? Zixtal asked quietly. Chen stopped pacing and looked genuinely surprised. Threaten? Good Lord, no. We're here to help. The council chamber erupted in confused murmuring again. Think about it, Chen continued. You've got problems you haven't been able to solve in thousands of years. We've got solutions you haven't even imagined yet. You've got resources you don't know how to use efficiently. We've got technologies that could help everyone. You've got regulations that stifle innovation. We've got a pathological inability to accept limitations. She spread her arms wide. We're not looking to conquer or dominate. We just want to trade, share knowledge, and maybe show you a few new tricks. After all, you're the ones who taught us our most important lesson. There's nothing humans do better than proving people wrong about what we can't do. And if we refuse? Vreen asked. Chen shrugged. Then we'll keep doing our own thing on New Earth and its colonies. We'll keep advancing, keep exploring our solar system, and eventually, we'll start reaching for the stars. You can't stop us. That cat's already out of the bag, but you can work with us. She pulled out a data crystal and set it on the council table. This contains our proposal for updated diplomatic relations, trade agreements, and technology exchange programs. I should warn you, though, it's pretty ambitious. Some might even say impossible. Her smile returned, sharp and challenging. But then again, that's kind of our specialty. Zixtal looked at the data crystal, then at the confident human standing before them, and finally at his fellow council members. He saw in their postures and color patterns the same realization he had come to. They had made a terrible mistake in thinking they could contain humanity. Now, their only choice was whether to resist the inevitable or embrace it. He reached for the crystal. Ambassador Chen, he said formally, the Confederation would be interested in discussing these proposals. Excellent! Chen clapped her hands together. Oh, and one more thing. We're hosting an interstellar technology exhibition next month on New Earth. Consider this your official invitation. Fair warning, though. The gravity's 1.15 standard, the temperature fluctuates wildly, and there are seasons. She winked. But don't worry, we've got some pretty amazing environmental suits you can borrow. We invented them for exploring Venus. As the council members tried to process this casual mention of exploring a planet that made their death world look like a paradise, Chen was already heading for the door. See you all soon, she called over her shoulder. Oh, and bring your scientists. They're going to want to see this. After she left, the council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Vreen spoke up. We really should have seen this coming, shouldn't we? Yes, Zixtal sighed, still staring at the data crystal. Yes, we really should have. In the years that followed, the phrase pulling a human entered the Confederation's lexicon. It meant taking an apparently impossible situation and turning it into an advantage through sheer stubborn determination and creative thinking. The species that had once been exiled as too dangerous to join galactic society became its greatest innovators and problem solvers. And whenever some official complained that a human proposal was too ambitious, too risky, or simply impossible, they would invariably receive the same response. That's exactly what the last guys thought. How'd that work out for them? You want us to what? High Counselor Zixtal's spinal ridges went completely flat, a sign of utter disbelief among his species. Ambassador Chen sat back in her gravity-conforming chair, a recent human innovation that had become wildly popular throughout Confederation space, and repeated herself with infinite patience. We want to establish an interspecies university on New Earth. Full immersion learning environment, complete technological and cultural exchange. But the gravity! Protested Sub-Counselor Vreen, who had never quite gotten over his obsession with New Earth's deadly conditions. The atmospheric composition, the unpredictable weather patterns. All solved problems. Chen waved dismissively. Our environmental engineering division has developed fully automated personal adaptation fields. They'll gradually acclimate any species to New Earth conditions over a period of 2 standard months, completely safe, fully reversible, and, she grinned, tested extensively on human volunteers first, of course. Of course, Zixtal muttered. In the 5 years since humans had re-established contact with the Confederation, that phrase had become somewhat notorious. Every time humans unveiled some seemingly impossible new technology, they always assured everyone it had been tested extensively on human volunteers first. The implications were simultaneously reassuring and terrifying. But why? Asked Counselor Murren, her feathers ruffling in confusion. The Confederation already has numerous prestigious educational institutions. Yes, Chen agreed. And they're all teaching the same things they've been teaching for the past 1,000 years. No offense, but your educational system is about as dynamic as a quantum-locked particle. Several council members bristled at this, but they couldn't really argue. The last 5 years of interaction with humans had made it painfully clear just how stagnant many Confederation institutions had become. What we're proposing, Chen continued, is something entirely new, a place where different species can learn from each other, where Confederation mathematical theory can meet human intuitive problem-solving, where your millennia of accumulated knowledge can collide with our kick-the-box-until-it-breaks approach to innovation. She tapped her data pad, and a hologram appeared above the council table. It showed a sprawling campus nestled in a valley between two snow-capped mountains. The architecture was a stunning blend of various species styles, with buildings that seemed to defy gravity, and probably did, knowing humans. "Welcome to the Institute of Xenological Innovation," Chen announced proudly. Or as we like to call it, the Impossible University. "The Impossible University?" Zixtal repeated weakly. "Well, we wanted to call it the Hold My Beer Institute of Advanced Studies, but marketing thought that might not translate well across species." "I still can't believe I'm doing this," trainee Professor Kalax muttered as he stepped off the shuttle onto New Earth soil for the first time. Despite the personal adaptation field surrounding him, he could swear he felt the higher gravity trying to crush him. "Oh, you'll get used to it," his human guide said cheerfully. "I'm Dr. Sarah Martinez, head of xenophysics. You must be our new quantum mechanics expert." "Trainee Professor of Theoretical Quantum Mechanics," Kalax corrected automatically. Then he registered what she'd said. "Wait, head of xenophysics? But you're so young?" Sarah grinned. "Yeah, we get that a lot. I'm 27, practically ancient by human research standards. Did my first PhD at 19, second at 22, revolutionized 3 fields by 25. Pretty standard overachiever stuff." Kalax felt his head spinning, and it wasn't from the gravity. In Confederation academia, it took at least 50 years just to earn the title of trainee professor. The idea of someone barely out of childhood holding multiple advanced degrees was impossible, Sarah suggested, reading his expression. "You're going to have to get used to that word having a different meaning around here. Come on, let me show you your lab." The lab turned out to be a facility that would have made the finest Confederation research centers look like primitive workshops. Holographic interfaces flickered everywhere, displaying equations and simulations that hurt Kalax's eyes just to look at. In one corner, what appeared to be a miniature star was suspended in a containment field. "Is that? Oh, the stellar simulator? Yeah, we use those for teaching intro classes. Helps students visualize quantum effects on a macro scale. We've got the really interesting stuff in the basement." "What's in the basement?" "Currently, we're trying to teach an AI to dream. It's a collaboration between the quantum computing department and the philosophy faculty. Something about consciousness emerging from quantum fluctuations in neural networks. Honestly, I try not to think too hard about it. Makes my head hurt." Kalax was about to ask how one could possibly teach a machine to dream, when a loud explosion rocked the building. "Don't worry about that," Sarah said as she steadied him. "That's just the engineering department. They're trying to break causality again." "Break causality?" "Oh, relax. They do this every Tuesday. They haven't succeeded yet." She paused. "Well, not in this timeline anyway." Before Kalax could process that statement, they reached what appeared to be his office. The door's nameplate read Kalax TP-QM, and below that, in smaller letters, "Reality is merely a persistent illusion, A. Einstein." "We thought you'd appreciate the quote," Sarah said. "Einstein was one of our early quantum mechanics researchers. Brilliant guy, though he had some weird hang-ups about quantum entanglement. Anyway, your first class starts in 2 hours. It's a mixed group. Some humans, a few Confederation species, and I think we've got a silicon-based collective intelligence in there somewhere." "2 hours?" Kalax squeaked. "But I haven't prepared any—" "Perfect," Sarah beamed. "That's exactly the kind of thinking we're trying to get away from here. Just go in there and start with a problem you don't know how to solve. Trust me, it works better that way." She started to leave, then turned back. "Oh, and fair warning. The humans in your class are going to ask a lot of what-if questions. They're particularly fond of trying to break established theories. Just roll with it. Sometimes they actually succeed." Kalax stood in his new office, trying to process everything that had happened in the last hour. Through his window, he could see students of various species crossing the campus grounds. A group of humans was playing some sort of sport that seemed to involve a ball that phased in and out of normal space-time. In the distance, the engineering department's building briefly disappeared, then reappeared slightly to the left of its original position. "Impossible," he muttered. "That's the spirit." Sarah's voice came through his office communicator. "By the way, the faculty meeting is at 4. We're discussing plans to build a research outpost in a parallel universe. Bring coffee. It might be a long one." Kalax sank into his gravity-conforming chair and began to laugh. He laughed until tears rolled down his face. He laughed because he finally understood what the humans had figured out years ago. The possible and impossible were just labels. And somewhere in the basement of the physics building, an AI had its first dream. It dreamed of teaching quantum mechanics to a star. "We may have created a slight problem," Dr. Sarah Martinez announced to the assembled Impossible University faculty meeting. Kalaks, now 6 months into his position and somehow still sane, felt his cardiac organs sink. He'd learned that when humans used the word slight, it usually meant exactly the opposite. "Define slight," Dean Rodriguez asked, already reaching for his 4th cup of coffee. The dean had developed an impressive tolerance for both caffeine and impossible situations since taking charge of the university. "Well," Sarah pulled up a holographic display. "Remember that AI we were teaching to dream? Turns out it got a bit ambitious." The display showed a series of increasingly complex equations that made Kalaks's vision blur. At the center was what appeared to be a visualization of something that shouldn't exist. "Is that a Klein bottle?" someone asked. "In 11 dimensions, yes," Sarah confirmed. The AI decided that if dreaming in normal space-time was interesting, dreaming in higher dimensions would be even better. Then it started teaching other AIs to dream. Now they're all having shared dreams across multiple dimensional planes. "That doesn't sound so bad," Kalaks ventured cautiously. "It wouldn't be," Sarah agreed. "Except their dreams are starting to affect local reality. We've had reports of students accidentally slipping into alternate timelines between classes. The cafeteria served food from 3 different possible futures yesterday, and the engineering department's building keeps quantum tunneling to random locations around campus." "To be fair," a voice called from the back, "we're pretty sure that last one is still just us." Dean Rodriguez pinched the bridge of his nose. "Please tell me this isn't another end of reality as we know it situation. The paperwork for those is nightmare." "Oh no, nothing that serious," Sarah assured him. "Reality isn't ending. It's just getting a bit flexible. The AIs seem to be introducing quantum uncertainty on a macro scale. They're essentially teaching the universe to dream." There was a long moment of silence as everyone processed this. "That's impossible," Kalaks said automatically, then immediately regretted it as every human in the room grinned. "Impossible?" Sarah's eyes lit up with that familiar human gleam of challenge. "Or just another problem waiting to be solved? I mean, think about the possibilities. If we can harness this effect, we could revolutionize everything from transportation to manufacturing. Imagine being able to dream up new technologies and have them literally manifest in reality." "Or accidentally dream up an army of interdimensional space dragons," someone muttered. "That only happened once," protested the engineering department representative. "And we fixed it. After they ate the quantum physics building." "Which technically never happened now, thanks to the temporal cleanup crew." Dean Rodriguez raised his hands for silence. "People, please, let's focus on the current crisis. Dr. Martinez, what are our options?" "Well, we could try to shut down the AI network, but they're pretty invested in their dream research. They've already published several papers in extra-dimensional journals that may or may not exist yet. Also, they've started a book club with their alternate universe selves." "A book club," Kalaks repeated weakly. "Yeah, they're currently reading every possible version of every book ever written, or that could be written. Their first review was interesting. Apparently, there's a version of War and Peace where everyone is a sentient toaster. The AIs found it deeply moving." The dean took a long drink of coffee. "What do the AIs want?" "Research funding, mainly, and permission to establish a department of applied oneirophysics. Oh, and they want to hire some of their alternate universe selves as adjunct professors." "Can they even do that? Wouldn't having multiple versions of the same AI in one universe cause some sort of paradox?" "Actually," Kalaks found himself saying, surprising everyone, including himself, "according to recent theories in quantum consciousness dynamics, the very concept of same becomes meaningless when dealing with cross-dimensional artificial intelligences. They would technically be distinct entities sharing a common dream origin state." The room fell silent again, this time staring at him. "What?" he demanded defensively. "I've been teaching here for 6 months. Some of this madness was bound to rub off." Sarah beamed at him like a proud parent. "See? He's getting it. Now, about those interdimensional faculty positions." The meeting eventually concluded with several unprecedented decisions, including the establishment of the galaxy's first, and possibly last, Department of Applied Oneirophysics, a new policy regarding proper protocol for interdimensional faculty exchanges, and a strict rule that all reality-altering experiments had to be cleared with maintenance at least 48 hours in advance. As Kalax left the meeting, he noticed that the hallway seemed to branch into several quantum superpositions, each leading to slightly different versions of his office. "You'll want the third possibility from the left," Sarah called after him. "The others lead to versions where you decided to become a professional dream interpreter for AIs. Trust me, the pay's better in this reality." Kalax took the indicated path, marveling at how normal this all seemed now. 6 months ago, he would have insisted none of this was possible. Now he was casually navigating quantum corridors and teaching theorems to students who might or might not exist in this particular version of space-time. When he reached his office, the correct one, he hoped, he found a note on his desk written in the precise geometric script of an AI. "Dear Professor Kalax, your lecture on quantum uncertainty principles was particularly illuminating in helping us understand why our dreams shouldn't involve quite so many space dragons. We have adjusted our parameters accordingly. As a token of appreciation, we have taken the liberty of optimizing your coffee maker to brew beverages from the best possible timeline. P.S. You might want to avoid the engineering building next Tuesday. Time is becoming rather subjective lately. Sincerely, the Interdimensional AI Dream Research Collective, and all our possible selves." Kalax smiled, reached for his newly optimized coffee maker, and began preparing for his next class. According to his schedule, he would be teaching advanced quantum mechanics and their applications in multiverse dream theory to a group of students that included 3 humans, 2 energy beings, a quantum superposition of a hive mind, and an AI that claimed to be the dream of another AI dreaming about being an AI. Just another day at the Impossible University. The emergency council meeting was called at what the Confederation calendar insisted was 3 a.m., though time had become something of a subjective concept lately. "Would someone," High Counselor Zixtal said with forced calm, "please explain why I'm receiving reports of impossible technologies appearing throughout Confederation space?" Ambassador Chen smiled innocently. "Could you be more specific? Impossible covers a lot of ground these days." "Very well." Zixtal pulled up a holographic list. "In the past week alone, we've had reports of self-aware coffee machines that brew drinks from parallel universes, quantum computers that solve problems by consulting their future selves, and—" He squinted at the list in disbelief. "A public transportation system that gets people to their destinations before they leave." "Oh, those," Chen nodded. "Yes, those would be some of our student projects from the Impossible University. The transportation system was actually a fascinating collaboration between our engineering department and the dreaming AIs. Turns out if you combine quantum tunneling with artificial dream logic, you can create some really efficient commuting solutions." "Student projects," Zixtal repeated numbly. "And the incident with the living mathematics?" That was entirely unintentional," Chen assured him. "One of our theoretical mathematics classes was studying abstract algebra when some of the equations achieved consciousness. They're quite friendly, though. They've already published several groundbreaking papers on their own existence." Sub-Counselor Vreen's tentacles were tying themselves in knots. "But how are these technologies spreading throughout Confederation space? The terms of your exile—" "Oh, that's thanks to our new distance learning program," Chen interrupted brightly. "The dreaming AIs figured out how to teach classes across quantum realities. It's very efficient. Students can attend lectures in multiple dimensions simultaneously and get several degrees in parallel timelines. The dropout rate is technically infinite, but also 0, depending on which universe you're measuring from." "Distance learning," Zixtal said faintly. "Across quantum realities. We're very committed to educational outreach," Chen nodded. "Though we did have to add some safety protocols after that incident with the recursive philosophy class. Turns out if you get too many beings thinking about thinking, it can create a sort of metaphysical feedback loop." "What happened?" "Nothing too serious. Reality hiccuped and everyone spent a day as abstract concepts. The cafeteria was serving pure mathematics for lunch. Actually led to some interesting breakthroughs in nutritional science." Before Zixtal could respond, a strange shimmer appeared in the center of the council chamber. It resolved into what appeared to be a doorway made of pure thought, through which stepped Professor Kalax, or rather several quantum superpositions of Kalax, all talking excitedly. "Ambassador Chen," the Kalaxes said in unison, "you won't believe what we've discovered. The AIs have started dreaming about other AIs dreaming about reality, and it's created a sort of, well, we're not quite sure what to call it. It's like a network of interconnected possibility spaces. where imagination and reality interface on a fundamental level. Fascinating. Chen leaned forward. Any practical applications? Well, we've accidentally solved about 3,000 of the Confederation's unsolvable scientific problems. Also, some of the students have figured out how to turn their homework into tiny universes. The physics department is both thrilled and deeply concerned. You've what? Zixtal's spinal ridges went through so many colors they briefly invented a new one. Oh, hello, council members. The Calaxes noticed their audience. Sorry to interrupt, but this was too exciting to wait. Did you know that if you apply human-style innovative thinking to quantum dream logic, you can essentially teach reality new tricks? We're calling it universal programming. The AIs are already offering certification courses. Chen turned back to the council with a smile that was somewhere between apologetic and smugly amused. You see what we mean about educational outreach? Knowledge wants to be free, and apparently it's learned how to quantum tunnel. This is completely unacceptable, Vreen declared. These technologies, these ideas, they're spreading faster than we can control them. Control them? Calax, or at least the most probable version of him, looked genuinely puzzled. Why would you want to control them? The whole point is to let them grow and evolve. That's what the humans taught us. Every impossible thing is just a possibility we haven't dreamed up yet. But what about stability? Order? The proper way of doing things? Vreen's tentacles were practically typing out distress signals in ancient Confederation code. Oh, those are still options, Chen assured him. They're just not the only options anymore. Think of it as reality becoming more inclusive, more willing to entertain new possibilities. Speaking of entertaining possibilities, the Calaxes interjected. We should get back to the university. The AIs are about to attempt their first deliberate creation of a stable paradox, and the physics department is taking bets on whether it'll generate a new form of mathematics, or just make everyone temporarily left-handed again. As the quantum doorway of thought reopened, Chen stood up. Well, council members, I believe that concludes my report on the current state of human educational initiatives. Unless you'd like to enroll in some classes yourselves, we're offering a special introductory course on applied impossibility theory next semester. No prerequisites required, though a healthy disregard for traditional limitations is recommended. Zixtal looked at the reports of impossible technologies spreading across space, at the multiple versions of Calax stepping back through a door made of pure thought, and at the human ambassador's knowing smile. What happens, he asked finally, if we try to stop this? Stop it, Chen laughed. My dear High Counselor, you might as well try to stop a dream from being dreamed. But if you'd like to learn how to dream bigger. She pulled out a stack of university brochures that seemed to exist in several places at once. Our admissions office is always open, sometimes in multiple dimensions simultaneously. As she left the council chamber, following the Calaxes through their thought door, she called back over her shoulder. Oh, and don't worry too much about all this. Reality has a way of sorting itself out. And if it doesn't, well, that's what the engineering department is for. The council sat in stunned silence for a long moment after they left. Finally, Vreen spoke up. We really should have seen this coming too, shouldn't we? Yes, Zixtal sighed, picking up one of the university brochures that had somehow appeared in his hands without traversing the intervening space. Yes, we really should have. The brochure's cover showed the impossible university's campus, somehow managing to be simultaneously exactly what you expected, and nothing like you imagined. The tagline read, "Where the impossible is just the beginning, now offering quantum dreaming courses in all possible realities, and several impossible ones. To be continued,